Before we start the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button so you can get all the new content from us. My friend, before we dive into today's movie, let me just remind you this is the third movie in the series. So if you haven't watched the summaries of the first two movies on my channel yet, go check them out first so you're all caught up. Trust me, it'll help everything make more sense. All right, now let's get into it. 18 years ago, on one of the Purge nights, we see this guy who's kidnapped a whole family. And since he's mentally ill, he's been torturing them. He tells them he's going to kill them all, but leaves one alive, just to suffer for the rest of his life. And that's how this flashback ends. Now, we're waiting for the annual Purge, which by the way is only a few days away. In the news, we see that many people are opposing the ruling party's policies, the new founding fathers. They believe the Purge is just a way to get rid of the poor so they don't have to provide any services for them. Leading this campaign, by the way, is Dante. There's also another well-known politician who's strongly against the whole Purge system, and that's Charlie Roan. She's the only one who survived when her family was kidnapped 18 years ago. Now Charlie's appearing on TV, sharing her painful story, and explaining how she realized just how corrupt and cruel the system is. That's why she's determined to become the next US president to end the Purge once and for all. All these news reports? Well, the members of the new Founding Fathers Party, led by their leader Caleb, are watching closely. Caleb is furious about what he's seeing and tells his men they need to take out both Charlie and Dante during the upcoming Purge, no matter what. This way, they can eliminate their biggest threats. On the other side, my friend, we see Charlie in a debate with a candidate from the new Founding Fathers. He's running against her for president, but Charlie completely embarrasses him in front of the crowd, gaining more popularity. What really matters is that we find out Leo is the one in charge of her protection. Well, technically, he's leading her entire security team. And wow, my friend, Leo's fully recovered and doing great now. He's working alongside Charlie. A bit later, we see Charlie, Leo, and his team of assistants sitting together, watching the news. That's when they catch a statement from a party official saying that this upcoming Purge might not happen the way people expect. The party official announces that in this Purge, no one, not even politicians, will be protected. In the past, they had special security, but now they're claiming it's to make things fair. Leo and Charlie quickly realize it's just a cover to go after her, so Leo decides to beef up her security for the Purge night. At the same time, we meet a guy named Joe, who owns a local market. He's there with his assistant, Marcos. When Marcos catches two girls trying to steal from the store, Joe gets upset, but instead of freaking out, he calmly goes over and talks to them, asking them nicely to stop. One of them, named Kimmy, refuses and threatens to accuse him of harassment if he gets too close. Just then, a woman, Lainey, shows up. She's a regular customer and a local legend, known for driving around on Purge night in her ambulance to help people. Lainey steps in, talks to Kimmy and her friend, and convinces them to return what they stole, ending the situation. A bit later, Joe gets a call from his insurance company, telling him they want a huge amount of money this year to cover his market on Purge night. Frustrated and unable to negotiate with them, Joe decides to protect his store himself. Despite Lainey warning him it's too dangerous, he tells her he has no other choice. The next day, as the Purge begins, Joe heads to the roof to protect his store. Not long after, Marcos shows up to help him, refusing to leave Joe on his own, which makes Joe really happy. Later, Kimmy shows up with a group, ready for revenge. But before she can act, Marcos shoots her in the ear and warns that the next shot will be in her head if she doesn't leave. Realizing they're serious, she backs off, still angry. On the other side, as the Purge begins, Leo and his team are busy securing every corner of Charlie's house, making sure no one can break in. After finishing, Leo sits down with Charlie for a bit, and they chat. Meanwhile, two of Leo's men turn out to be traitors, allowing a group of soldiers from the new Founding Fathers into the house to take out Charlie. The soldiers start killing every guard they see, searching for her. Leo checks the cameras and realizes that most of his men outside have been taken out, confirming there's a traitor among them. Leo quickly grabs Charlie and leads her through the house to escape into the street. Just as they're about to leave, two soldiers appear, but Leo skillfully takes them down. Meanwhile, the traitors and soldiers reach Charlie's room, but find it empty. The commander tells the traitors they'll get nothing until they capture Charlie, and leaves to continue the search. As Leo and Charlie are spotted by a soldier, gunfire erupts, but Leo stays calm. He pulls out a device and detonates a bomb he planted in Charlie's room, killing the traitors and a bunch of soldiers. Despite being injured himself, Leo pushes through, and he and Charlie continue to escape. Along the way, they're attacked by two masked figures, but after a tough fight, they manage to take them down. Just as they catch their breath, more masked attackers show up and shock them with tasers. It turns out these attackers aren't even Americans, they're tourists who came just to join the Purge. The situation looks grim, but luckily they're right in front of Joe's market. Joe and Marcos spot them, come out, and take down the entire gang, rescuing Leo and Charlie. Afterward, they bring them inside the market, where Charlie starts treating Leo's injuries, but can't get the bullet out of his shoulder. After a brief moment of calm, they're all shocked when Kimmy shows up again, this time more injured, and she and her gang start trying to break into the market to finish off Joe and Marcos. Joe quickly decides to call Lainey for help. At that moment, Lainey is busy rescuing someone, as she always does on Purge night, but she gets Joe's message and heads straight to the market. Without hesitation, she arrives and immediately takes down a few members of Kimmy's gang, and she grabs her weapon and takes down everyone, including Kimmy. After that, she opens the door for Joe, Leo, and the others, telling them she'll take them to an underground shelter where she treats the wounded and where they'll be safe. They all get into her ambulance and head to the shelter, but soon they notice a party helicopter flying above, shooting at them. Thinking quickly, Leo tells the driver to park under a bridge so they can't be seen. She does just that, but Leo starts wondering how they were found so easily. Leo finally realizes that the bullet lodged in his shoulder is a tracking device. He painfully removes it and confirms it's a tracker. Just as he's about to act, a gang surrounds the ambulance. Everyone panics, but it turns out the gang is friendly. They just want help treating one of their injured. They agree, and after taking the injured person, Leo asks them for a favor in return, which they accept. Later, despite removing the tracker, the new Founding Fathers soldiers still managed to locate Leo because the bullet had settled in another spot before being removed. The commander is thrilled when the soldiers spot them under the bridge and sends two men down to finish off Leo and Charlie. But when they land, they find only the tracker. Suddenly, Leo's gang ambushes and takes them out. This was the favor Leo had asked for, a trick to throw the party soldiers off their trail. Meanwhile, Leo, Charlie, Lainey, Joe, and Marcos arrive at the underground shelter. It turns out it's run by Dante and the Resistance. Dante greets Leo warmly, along with his assistant Angel, and they explain that the shelter was built to be a safe haven for everyone, and he welcomes Charlie to the shelter, telling her she's always welcome because he supports her bid for the presidency to end the tragedy of the Purge. He then leaves with some of his men. After a while, Joe, Marcos, and Lainey decide to head out and check on the market, while Charlie stays behind to meet the people in the shelter. Leo, on the other hand, takes the chance to explore the place. He stumbles upon a secret room and feels compelled to check it out, but just as he's about to enter, one of Dante's men stops him. Leo fights off the man and restrains him, ready to kill him. But the commotion brings Angel and Charlie, who manage to calm the situation and get Leo to release him. In that moment, Charlie notices plans in the room detailing how they plan to assassinate the new Founding Fathers candidate at a church. This is where the party members gather every year to perform their purge rituals and kill as many people as they can. Charlie immediately objects, telling Angel she doesn't want the candidate to be killed, and she insists she doesn't want to win this way. But Angel tells her it's too late, the candidate will die. No discussion. As they argue, Lainey's assistant rushes in, warning everyone that party soldiers are heading toward the shelter. Worried, Leo decides to take Charlie and leave. He calls Lainey to pick them up, and she agrees. Not long after, Lainey arrives, and they quickly get into her vehicle. However, they don't get far before a party vehicle rams into them, flipping Lainey's car. Soldiers jump out, grab Charlie, and escape immediately. The soldiers, led by their commander, take Charlie to the new Founding Fathers church and leave her there. The priest begins preparing her for execution, alongside a young man who was captured with her. The young man is brought before the party's candidate, who's giving a speech about the beauty and power of killing. Eventually, the priest kills the young man, and then it's Charlie's turn. The candidate delivers a speech about the importance of killing Charlie, revealing that the party members will all take part in her execution. Meanwhile, Leo, Joe, Marcos, and Lainey decide to go rescue Charlie. Setting their plan into motion, Leo and the group decide to approach Dante for help with stopping the assassination of the party's candidate. After some convincing, Leo gets Dante on board, reminding him that if Charlie dies, their cause is lost. Soon after, Leo, Lainey, Marcos, and Joe arrive at the church and see that the party members are preparing to kill Charlie. They open fire, taking out many party members, including the leader, Caleb. Just as they catch their breath, more party soldiers storm in, firing at them. They take cover, but thankfully Dante and his men arrive just in time to turn the tide. Dante and his men finish off the soldiers, and everyone feels a bit of relief. Dante then heads to the room where the opposing candidate is hiding, ready to kill him. But even after everything, Charlie pleads with him not to. If Dante doesn't listen at first, but at the last moment, he changes his mind and brings the candidate out alive, telling Charlie he spared him for her sake, believing she can win the election fairly. After that, they all take shelter in a safe spot, while Dante and Leo search for a vehicle to escape. The problem is, they find that the safe place is filled with people the party had imprisoned, but the crazed priest storms in, firing. But sadly, Joe is critically wounded and dies in front of the group. As Leo and Dante head outside, they spot a vehicle but are confronted by the party soldiers, led by the commander. A gunfight breaks out, with Leo returning fire while Dante drives a car straight into the soldiers, taking many out. Unfortunately, the commander shoots Dante, killing him. At that moment, both Leo and the commander run out of ammo, forcing them to engage in hand-to-hand combat, with punches flying left and right. In the end, Leo overpowers the commander and finishes him off, bringing the danger to an end. 2 months later, the elections begin, and Charlie is the first to vote for herself, with Leo by her side as her personal bodyguard. After the election, we see Marcos at Joe's market, now running it in Joe's memory. Lainey stops by, and Marcos tells her the big news. Senator Charlie has won the election, and her first decision is to finally put an end to Purge Night. Destruction are over for good. Don't forget to smash that like button and hit subscribe. You won't want to miss any upcoming breakdowns. And hey, what movie or series should I cover next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below.